It took 5 years, but the time has finally come. Hey everyone, what is going on? My name is RandomKenny, and in today's video, we're going to be marking the end of Payday 2, and looking back on over 5 years of heisting, and looking not just at my perspective, one which I think will be unique from my console player point of view, but also reflecting on everything that made the game as good as it is today. So let's do this. Payday 2 has become something of a juggernaut for co-op first-person shooters and, despite a handful of slip-ups along the way, has managed to transform into something far beyond the expectations of even its developers at Overkill Software. With hundreds of updates and a plethora of both paid DLC and free content updates, Payday 2 has become one of the most well-supported games that the gaming community has seen in a long time. Today we're going to look back on the lifespan of a game that to me has certainly changed my life, my YouTube career, and as well the lives of millions of gamers worldwide. We're going to look at the highs and some lows and come out at the end, hopefully, with a feeling of nostalgia and respect for a game that will be played by so many for a great deal of years to come. And before anybody panics, this is not the last Payday 2 video I'll make. I still have plenty of ideas I want to see made into videos, and those videos will go up over the course of 2019, hopefully surrounding console content at least partially, if updates do drop in 2019 as I'm hoping for, but generally, I'm not quite done with Payday just yet, so don't worry on that front. Payday 2 first released in August 2013 on PC, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and then re-released in June 2015 for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 as the Crime Wave Edition, and then finally released for Nintendo Switch in February 2018. Before it even released in 2013, however, Payday 2 was so popular amongst fans new and old that it became Overkill Software's first ever boxed release, with the former director of Payday 2, David Goldfarb, stating that Payday 2 has become just too big to reserve release on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network alone, with Starbreeze Studios also confirming on the 8th of August, 5 days before release, that the game was profitable from pre-orders alone. And if you look at what it offers, it's easy to see why. With an endless amount of skills to pick from and customize, a barrage of weapons to equip, modify and try out in game, a bevy of heists to pick for your next job that range from small-time diamond stores to a Las Vegas casino and everywhere in between, and the amazing and thoroughly entertaining performances of the voice actors who bring each playable character, contractor and even police officer to life, Payday 2 has done something very few games ever have. It's created an immersive, yet comical co-op heisting game that puts together zombie horde-style police mechanics and high-octane heisting gameplay and grounded action seen in very few shooters nowadays. I've been playing Payday 2 for over 4 years now. I started playing back on the Xbox 360, having stumbled across the game on the Xbox Live store and, after reading its description, surmised that it was a full video game with a similar concept to the heists of Grand Theft Auto 5. A game which had only just begun to take the world by storm, and one I was still very much addicted to, playing every night after school. Yet I was still unsure as to whether this game was worth my money. I had no experience with the original game as it had only released on PC and PlayStation 3, so I had nothing to base my decision on. So, as most people in my position at that time did, I downloaded the demo for Payday 2, and what an amazing experience it was. If you ask any console player about the Payday 2 demo for last generation consoles, I guarantee you that the majority will only have fond memories of it. You could only reach level 10 and you could only play the bank heist variants, but not Watch Dogs, as the PC demo allows you to now if I'm correct, but regardless, the demo was amazing. I fell in love with the game and I immediately proceeded to buy it in full. Truth be told, when I got into the main game, I realised that there wasn't a great deal of heists to go off. It was still a really fun game, but the bank heists and jewelry store robberies were some of the best times for me, and a lot of the other heists just didn't appeal to me nearly as much as those did. I even made a video on the game and uploaded it to this channel, a mess of an attempt at a basic bank heist where my then lack of knowledge was painfully obvious.
There's guys everywhere. No! Stun gun dude! Stun gun dude! Juggernaut! Ah, no. This is the end. This is the end.
It didn't take long before I started to tire of the game, until late 2014 when a mysterious update released for Xbox 360, giving us Gauge Weapon Packs 1 and 2, and the Armoured Transport heists. It added some replayability to the game, but sadly not enough to keep me interested for a lot longer. That is, until I upgraded to Xbox One. When I did upgrade in the summer of 2015, the first game I got with the console was Payday 2 Crime Wave Edition. I've been told by a friend of mine about it coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 at almost the same time that I planned to upgrade my console, and how it was going to have far more content at launch than I could possibly have imagined on Xbox 360, and immediately I was hooked on the idea. When I finally got my hands on the game, it felt like everything I wanted on my old Xbox had come true. More heists, more characters, more weapons, more skills, more quality of life changes, the list goes on. For me, the base Payday 2 launch lacked the content needed to keep me playing for years on end, but now all that had changed and I was happy. Of course, that was only until the wait for new content began. So for those of you who only know very loosely about the console versions and the last few years of issues they faced, I'll surmise it now for you very briefly. The Xbox 360 and PS3 versions had support dropped after the first update was released for those platforms, and that update contained, as I mentioned, the Armored Transport DLC and Gauge Weapon Packs 1 and 2. Meanwhile, Xbox One and PS4's Crime Wave Edition went for over 400 days without a content update, with the first big content update, The Big Score, releasing in September 2016. So long after Crime Wave's launch, the Overkill and Starbreeze decided to release it as its own physical version, The Big Score Edition, bundling together the original Crime Wave release with the new content, including 10 premium DLCs, and as a result sparking an endless flurry of comments stemming from the confusion of which version was actually best to buy. Comments that I still get to this day. Now, if we put all the negativity aside that the waiting created, I personally believe that the update was definitely worth the wait. Adding some of my all-time favourite heists such as the Golden Ring Casino and First World Bank, revamping the inventory, and adding 20 more levels of infamy was just scratching the surface of what this huge update had to offer. Not to mention giving us the Jacket character pack and the Overkill weapon pack for free as a token of gratitude for the amount of time we spent waiting. A decision that was met with a great deal of criticism which I feel at least partially was undeserved. Giving us anything for free at all was a great gesture, especially since we'd already got a reduced cost for the DLC if you bought it in the bundle as I did. And Overkill didn't have to support consoles at all. The PC version was making so much money for them that they literally stopped releasing paid DLC after October 2017. Getting anything for free was good enough for me. From there, another 9 months led to June 2017, where Xbox One and PS4 saw the release of the Most Wanted DLC update, giving us the Hardcore Henry heists, acting legend Ron Perlman as a new character, and, as many of you know, my favourite character Sydney to the game. But this time, it meant a lot more to me, because this time, I uploaded a video onto my channel to inform people about what this DLC would feature, and it was met with far more love than I could have ever anticipated. Within a week, it amassed over 5,000 views, a number I'd only ever passed once before when I recreated the Hoxton Breakout trailer in GTA 5, which to this day is still my most popular video. I've made a few videos on Payday 2 before, especially on the Crime Wave Edition, after making my abysmal video on the Xbox 360, but they'd only seen a few couple of hundred views at most, and a lot received far less than that. At that point, I'd been doing YouTube for nearly 3 years, and had struggled to find a niche that really suited this channel. And yet, seemingly overnight, that niche had knocked on my door and gift wrapping in tinsel. I adored Payday 2 then, and I still do now, so to have a community here for that content is honestly amazing. Fast forward to today, and a bunch of Payday 2 videos have since topped that video's humble view count, and my subscriber count this year alone has increased to more than 4 times the size it reached at the end of last year, and I can't thank you all enough for that. Being what I believe to be the only main source of Payday 2 news for console players on YouTube, whilst also trying to cover PC updates and anything in between, has been so much fun, and I love how much you've all enjoyed it too, going from the Master Plan DLC in November, to the updates both in February and July, and anything else that happens going forward. I can't thank you guys enough for everything you've done for this channel. And yet, while I've enjoyed most of my time with Payday 2, there are some people who sadly won't have such fond memories. I'm aware that charging for safes and skins on PC back in 2015 was a horrific decision, especially when a lot of paid DLC had already been released by that point. In today's market, there seems to be a blend of either paid updates for a video game with little to no microtransactions, or on the other side of the coin, a lot of microtransactions in the game, but all the updates they release thereafter are free, with only a few exceptions I can think of that have both. In my opinion, Payday having paid DLC worked far better in that case, especially since you could still play the new heists without owning them as long as you didn't host the lobby. And a lot of the DLC guns that were added were just reskins of guns that were already part of the base game and that came for absolutely free with zero added costs. The move was so bad that Overkill didn't take long to backtrack on it, even getting comedy legend John Cleese to mock the decision about microtransactions when he joined the Payday 2 cast a year later.
Selling drills on the black market is not the best idea you've ever had now, was it?
Are you serious?
I won't lie and say that that wasn't Payday 2's worst time in its life cycle, because it was. I'm glad I was on console at the time, and actually I had no idea what had happened until Overkill released their Update 100 video on YouTube almost a year later, in which they corrected their error, and at that point I did some digging and realised what had happened. I'm so glad they went back on that decision, because I truly believe it did wonders for the community, and it made it clear that Overkill were listening and would act upon our decisions, something game companies and developers need to do a lot more. And I know a lot of people still to this day are constantly saying how much they hate Overkill or are mad at them because they quote-unquote abandoned consoles again. And a lot of these toxic comments are only toxic because it comes from a place of love. these players are only mad because they aren't getting what they love, and that's more Payday DLC and free updates on consoles. Hopefully, the rest of the updates we need on Xbox One, PS4, and even Nintendo Switch will all drop next year, and just like what happened with the safes and skins becoming free, us console players can hopefully all come back together with a united love for the game. But moving on from those controversies, there's something else I want to discuss that needs serious crediting when it comes to what Payday 2 did well, and that is the spread of content across not just the game, but social media and their online websites too. When I sat down and interviewed Chain's voice actor Damien Poitier back in September, he spoke a little bit about this subject, saying, "I don't think any other game has crossed as many mediums as Payday has in terms of going from a first-person shooter to a web series to live-action trailers." And he's right. No other game has had this level of spread across different media forms in the way Payday 2 has. From producing a web series before any voice actor had even recorded their lines for the base game's launch, to releasing webcomics as part of the main update events such as Crime Fest, and even having live-action trailers to support these big updates, with big-name actors such as Ron Perlman and Giancarlo Esposito to support our favourite heisters, Payday 2 has had such a contrast across the different media forms. To me, the live-action trailers were brilliantly executed because each of them helped explain the update it was associated with and provided some more of the background lore. And it's clear that I'm not the only person who is a fan of this, because Damien admitted that Overkill increased the budget for these trailers as time went by because they knew they were getting so much love. If you didn't watch the live-action trailer, you could still gather the story from playing as the characters in question or playing the heists in question, but you felt rewarded if you took the time to watch those trailers, because not only did they really build upon the story, they were genuinely entertaining to watch, and it's something I can't remember ever seeing with another video game. Even Call of Duty, who did live action trailers until only a couple of years ago when they stopped, those trailers had nothing to do with the game, they were just basically big adverts for the game. Payday 2's trailers are there to support the story, and that was what was so good about them. All I could say is that I really hope they keep this style going forward into Payday 3, because it's something really refreshing that no other video game franchise has done to this level before, and I hope that it stays as the only video game franchise doing it for a long time to come. And yet, with all that said and done, there's one more big topic that needs a great deal of praise. Aside from all the brilliant heists, entertaining characters, and hilarious memories I associate with this game, as do millions of other players, there is one thing Payday 2 managed to pull off that a lot of us never saw coming. It had a compelling story. Having trailers, live action or not, that introduce contractors or heists and explain why we're doing a certain job is one thing, but to piece everything together from over 4 years of updates and make them all fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, and to seriously ramp up the storyline of Payday 2 in the past year alone, has been something truly unexpected. I mean, look at it this way. In October 2017, Locke betrayed the Payday gang and left them high and dry in Alaska, surrounded by cops. 1 month later, Bane gets kidnapped and taken to an unknown location, and Locke steps in to take over his role, explaining that Alaska's events were designed to get the gang out of Washington DC because Bane had growing concerns of someone moving against them. Fast forward to April 2018, and we raided an FBI office, and we got a coffer identical to the one we found in Golden Ring Casino, only to find 2 more of them in a murky water facility days later in a separate job, and also at the same time finding out that both the dentist, one of our former contractors, and Kento, the son of Jiro, one of the Payday gang members, had both been working together with Murky Water and another organization known as the Kataru to kidnap Bane and keep him hostage. All that happened in 6 months for a game that had DLCs where you could play as vaping YouTubers and carry goats with cocaine shoved up their backsides. The dramatic amount of story that happened in this period of time was seriously unexpected by everybody, but it was so good to see, and it was so well received that in October 2018, the stakes only got higher, because Crime Fest managed to do something even bolder. We start by rescuing Bane in a literal prison break, unlike the joke of a breakout that we saw in Hoxton Breakout, although I do still love that heist. But we free Bane from his cell, we see him charge out, leaving a path of destruction in his wake, and finish by reaching him as he drops Kento's lifeless body to the floor. Sorry Jiro, I guess those years he spent looking for him don't really amount to much, because Bane just killed him before any of us could do anything about it. Either way, just as Kento's body falls to the floor, Bane also collapses, but Locke picks him up and carries him to a helicopter in a scene that made me love Locke even more than I already did. We fly Bane to safety, and at that point we learn that Bane was infected with a zombie-like virus by the Kataru before we freed him, but there isn't a cure we can use to combat it. Instead, we flash back to the infamous Payday 1 heist No Mercy to see how the virus was actually stolen by us in the first place. I love this move not only because everyone had been asking to see No Mercy return, but also because they managed to keep the same objectives from the first game and twist it in a way that fit with Payday 2's story, and it worked perfectly. The objectives from the first time this heist was released had not changed at all when being ported over to Payday 2, and yet it suddenly fit with Payday 2's story, and beyond that, explained how Bane became poisoned in the first place. We see now that there's no saving Bane, and as his final mission, he sends us back to Washington DC to fulfill something he'd been talking about since the first episode of the web series, the greatest heist of all. Not a bank, not a gold reserve, the White House. We break in and steal enough pre-signed presidential pardons to get the 22 members of the Payday gang, as well as Bane and Locke, out of the criminal life for good, scot-free, and yet after an amazing and exciting heist, the unthinkable happens. Bane, our mentor, our guide for the last 5 years of Payday 2, succumbs to the virus that he was poisoned with, and we lose him for good. I can remember the day the heist came out. It released very late in UK time, and I was about to go to bed a couple of hours later until something caught my eye on my phone, saying that there was an ending cutscene for Payday 2. Now known as Somewhere in Mexico, what some originally thought was the final clip for Payday 2 showed the whole gang attending Bane's funeral over an open and unmarked grave, even bringing in Locke's voice actor Ian Russell to represent him in the flesh. We saw every heister throw their masks into the grave except for Dallas, who held on to his and walked away in a somber and dialogue-free clip that genuinely shocked and upset me. And that's what I will always remember Payday 2 for. Well, not lying in bed watching the final cutscene, but the fact that they closed a storyline that I never thought the game could have, and doing it in a way that genuinely moved me in a way very few video games ever have. I truly thought that was it for the game, and that the game ended like that. But come on, as if it would. Piecing all the coffers, tablets, and objects from the last few years of heisting along the way started to hint over time that there was more to this game's story than we realised, and as time passed and DLCs released, there was a team of hardcore Payday 2 fans spending months cracking and calculating how everything fell into place, and as if by magic, within a day or two of the final heist releasing, they uncovered what's called the Payday 2 secret. Now infamous at this point. All of the credit here goes to RandomKenny, and I will link his channel, Twitter, and Twitch in the description because he genuinely deserves as much love and as much credit as he possibly can. I have so much love and respect for this guy, for the amount of time he put in trying to work all this stuff out and get the cutscene as the first person in the community to find the ending and beat the secret. Anyway, this secret saw us go to the White House not to steal pardons, but to go deep underground and unlock the biggest vault door we've ever seen. How do we do it? By solving riddles in an ancient language. Past the vault door, we find the Ark of the Watcher, a device capable of reincarnating a person's soul into someone else's body, allowing them to live on if they were aging, dying, or mortally wounded as somebody else as if nothing had happened. The dentist, once again voiced by Giancarlo Esposito, which I'm so glad to see him return for this role, he catches up to us holding Locke and wheelchair-bound Bane at gunpoint until we kill him once and for all. Locke takes Bane to the Ark, and after we trigger it, we see everything fade to white. The ritual has been completed, and Bane is now in somebody else's body, free of the virus. Whose body is it? Well, it's the body of the President of the United States, who off the game had been confirmed on the Breaking News website to have been in a plane crash with no official confirmation as to his current whereabouts or whether he'd even survived. How do we know this? Well, after beating the secret, we gain access to the true ending cutscene offshore Payday, which is 7.5 minutes of brilliant live action footage. We see the Payday gang on a beach celebrating their heist in the White House, with characters such as the Butcher and Vlad making appearances, with Vlad touching on the death of Bane, but it's seeming a lot less serious than in the previous ending clip, Somewhere in Mexico. But the main attraction is the President's speech, which the original 4 of the gang watch on the TV, with the key parts being a reference to Payday 3.
We must leave these trying ordeals behind us and follow our forebears to make this country not 1 or 2, but 3 times as strong for future generations.
And his closing remark.
America, let's do this.
Which, when you watch the accompanying credit roll called Rumors and Stories, gives a very strong hint as to Bane's new identity. It says how his most famous line is known throughout the criminal underworld as "Let's do this," the exact same line we just heard the president use to close his speech. Of course, there's no official confirmation, but we can be at least fairly sure about it. What does it mean for Payday 3? Who knows, because all we can do at this point is speculate for the time being. Anyway, after talking about all this, all I can say is I'm really going to miss Payday 2. I'll still play it and make videos on it, but it feels nostalgic now because for the main market of PC players, everything's done. And yes, Payday 2 is getting supported on PC until 2019 comes to an end, at least at the moment, because they could extend that with the current situation with Starbreeze's finances and the tragically lukewarm underperformance of Overkill's The Walking Dead. But regardless of the chance of them extending the deadline for a 4th time, I believe, I think the support will probably be just bug fixes, tweaks, and quality of life changes, such as making Locke's in-game face look more like that of Ian Russell's now that we've seen him portray Locke in live action. I hope we'll see all the final content on consoles very soon, and I can't wait for the fun it'll bring with it. But for now, thank you Overkill Software for making a masterpiece of a video game that turned from a simple listing on the Xbox store that I had an interest in, to becoming this juggernaut and driving force on my YouTube channel, and in turn, my video gaming life. I'll always remember this game and everything about it, and I can't wait to see what's next in Payday 3. I hope we get some information about it soon. And despite the errors you might have made in the past with microtransactions, or with console problems and so on and so forth, I know at the end of the day that Payday 2 is one of the best games I've ever played, and I know for a fact that I'm not the only one who thinks that. But either way, that brings us to the end of this very special commemorative video to mark the end of Payday 2. Like I've said, this is not the last video of Payday 2, there's going to be plenty more in 2019, but it does feel like now is the best time to make this video because the story is over on PC, it's over for most players who play the game, and for us, we got the current situation with Starbreeze Studios. We don't know what's actually happening for consoles, so it's a weird point to be at, and I thought it was the best time now to release this video. Now I finally had some time out of uni to get to work on it. So if you have enjoyed this, it was a big undertaking to make this video, so if you do enjoy it, as always, please give it a thumbs up. It's always very much appreciated. And if you are new around here and you fancy seeing some new videos going into 2019, why not hit the subscribe button? It's always very much appreciated. It's quick, it's free, and I'll always love you for doing so. Either way, hope you've enjoyed your Christmas holiday and you have a wonderful new year, and I will see you all next week with a brand new video. Until then, take it easy guys, and I'll see you all very soon.